rainbow.
Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions live. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
We've had a lovely day. It's been a warm one, but a lovely one. Got a couple of shows in the bag. Drunk some tea, had some coffee. And yeah, we are now ready to talk to all you beautiful people.
Hello, everyone. Had the usual fumbling around before it all kicks off.
You can't use words. You can't use fumble.
Yeah? A fumble in the dumble.
But yeah, we had a fumble in the dumble. Because there ain't no way to go.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome indeed. Let's have a roll call. Let's see where everyone's checking in from. Let's see. Right. David Pekarski says, oh no, there's something about Seattle Phil. So we've got Phil from Seattle is in. KJ Photo, cheers from the Big Apple. Nice.
David Pekarski checking in from Northern California.
How lovely.
He's waiting on a Heritage H535 in transparent cherry. Enjoy. Enjoy. We got Mojo on. Big thanks to BV Ninja.
Yes, BV.
Those of you who come here regularly will know all about BV Ninja. He's here to moderate.
Keep us on the straight and narrow.
Oh. You don't want to be doing that on air.
You okay?
You're supposed to say bless you, Dan.
Oh, sorry, I'm just laughing.
Yeah.
Bless you. Bless you. But I haven't seen you sneeze like that before.
No.
That was a really compressed
Obviously got something
sneeze.
up my nose.
You've got, yeah, it's 1176. Hey!
And it's not cocaine. Yes, BV Ninja. Well, I was just saying, big thanks to BV Ninja for moderating. Those of you who come here regularly will know all about BV. Those of you who are new, welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Indeed.
Michael Gilberto checking in from coastal Connecticut, down by the river.
Dan Skowalowski, hi from Hamilton, Ontario. And bottle number one, greetings from Bremen, Germany. We've been to Bremen, haven't we?
I've been to Bremen.
Okay.
That's where Dan Drive lives.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Everyone's saying bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. We already have a stack of super chats to get through, which is great. Thank you all for your super chats. We really appreciate it. Yeah, wonderful.
Dwayne Jessam is saying he's listened to Electric Truth on heavy rotation. Loved the Andy Timmons shows. As did we.
Yeah, wonderful.
Frankie Holt's on. Greetings from Muscle Shoals, Alabama, hit recording capital of the world.
Sweet home.
That was Chicago.
Oh, Sweet Home, Alabama. Isn't that?
Oh yeah.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Apologies, Dan.
There you go.
Apologies. I don't listen to any music south of the Mason-Dixon. That's what it is. It's a joke. It's a joke. All right. No one take it seriously.
Wyatt Louth. Hello from St. Louis, Missouri. Lovely.
Yeah, Chicago, Dan.
Have you done Chicago?
No.
A friend of mine lived there for a while, and yeah, it looks really interesting.
Of all the things I've heard ever said about Chicago, it looks really interesting. Is enticing, Dan. I want to go under that bridge that the Blues Brothers go under. Is it Lower Wacker Drive or something?
Oh right.
Yeah. How often?
Yeah, it took me a while. It took me a couple of goes to get into that film.
The Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Exactly. That's why I had to keep going back and checking.
Yeah.
Chris Collins guitar says triggered. Zoot Allures, g'day mates, greeting boys. The SAJ11, hello from Atlanta, Georgia. GA's Georgia, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where Peter.
Pumpkin Eater?
No,
Pumpkinhead?
guy who plays in Sheryl Crow's band.
Oh, Stroud.
Peter Stroud. He comes from Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I seem to have become nasally inflicted.
It's yeah. The day will do that to you. Do you need a Puritan?
Don't do drugs, mate. It was weird, actually. Last night, as we were preparing for sleep, we had all the doors in the house open and just came wafting in this overwhelming smell of crops.
That was me.
Like they were doing something, like they were cutting down stuff.
Oh, okay.
Or spraying stuff, or doing something like that.
Was that not all the machine gun fire?
No, there was quite a lot of machine gun fire. I live on the edge of Salisbury Plain, and they train troops there. So you quite often hear machine guns and heavy artillery and tanks. The tanks are exciting. Not if you're actually in a war, that would be horrific. But if you're not in a war, they are quite exciting. Good.
Very good.
Let us, Daniel, proceed.
Indeed.
I'm going to turn the super chats off.
Yeah.
Because we've got millions.
We do.
Thank you to everyone who has super chatted. We will answer anyone who has super chatted up until this moment. Anyone who hasn't, well, you know how that works.
We've got 664 people on right now. The 664, the neighbour of the beast. I love that gag.
That's funny.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Always think of Iron Maiden for obvious reasons. Right, let's get into it then. So it's been a good week. We've had 2 weeks of guests, and it's really lovely having guests on.
Oh, it's lovely having guests on.
Because it's an alternative to me and him playing the guitar all the time, which is welcome relief. And the knowledge that spews from these people.
Yep. Flows forth.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, vigorously.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's lovely.
For those of you, anyone hasn't seen the show on Friday with Simon Jarrett of Kingsley Amplifiers and Pedals, watch it. There's a tremendous amount of learning in there.
And tremendous amount of amazing guitar tone.
Yeah, oh God.
Oh, Keith from 5 Foot World is on.
Hello, Keith. Oh God, Keith, I'm sorry I haven't replied to your email. I think I read it as I was kind of getting up to take the dog out for a walk, and then my brain turned to jelly. I will get back to you. My apologies. As it does.
Groovy? Are we allowing for compression?
Just turning up a bit, making sure we've got enough level. It does get quieter. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So today's first question is Sam Colson. Hello, Sam. Sam wants to know. He says, "Hi D&M. I'm continuing my Strat hunt. I've played a lot since my last question on fretboard wood. Can you share your thoughts on early 80s Japanese Squiers?"
One for you.
Great if you can find one, yeah.
Right.
I mean, clearly it depends from guitar to guitar, but they're well sought after, those guitars.
Really?
Yeah, they were the first Squiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Specifically made for the Japanese market?
That's just where they were made.
Oh, they were made in Japan.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. And they sort of, it was the, shall we say, the thread that held Fender together as a business, because they were in tatters.
Wow.
Around that time, and the JV Squiers were the beginning of Fender Japan, the beginning of that whole thing, and very successful it turned out too. Yeah, if you can find one. I had two. I had one that a friend of mine, Marcel, had refinished in polka dot, which was hilarious. Not with anything to do with Buddy Guy, just he liked polka dots.
Right.
And one was maybe white. There's a great documentary called Twang Bang Kerrang that aired, it was Equinox, I think it was, and it aired on Channel 4, if memory serves. Francis Dunnery of It Bites is playing his large headstock JV Squier on there and extolling its virtues.
I know Steve Rothery uses a Squier. I'm not sure which one it is, but I've played it. It's an amazing guitar. We'll get him to bring it on when he comes to the show.
Well, even Andy Timmons, who came on a couple of weeks ago, he's still got his original early JV Squier.
Right.
So I think the way it worked was Fender needed some offshore guitars in order to compete with all the lawsuit guitars, but same in the way that Gibson did. I say lawsuit copies, because there was loads of copies coming out of Japan by various brands, lesser and greater in terms of quality and price. And Fender kind of needed in on that market because their American production was really hurt at the time, and they needed to do something at a price that was a bit more attainable.
Okay.
Squier was born, and I met the guy who headed it up, who did the Japanese end once. Had lunch with him once, and he I'm trying to remember his name. and he did lots and lots of classic guitar brands,
Right.
taking their guitars either to like Fujigen factory or one of the big factories,
Okay.
and being the sort of lukewarm water, to use a Spinal Tap reference.
Very good.
Very
good.
Yeah, go for it. If you can find one, they do fetch good money these days, but yeah, go for it. Right, sorry, too slow. Ran's there.
Hey, mate.
He says tonalities.
I like it.
Every time Simon is on, Simon Jarrett, it is an unending gift. Endless knowledge, freely shared, massive talent and humbleness galore. And these pedals.
Indeed.
And he says, and I hope you're cool and well these toasty few days.
Yeah. Been a great day today. Yeah, I mean, I like the heat. I don't have a particular problem with it. My son did his Duke of Edinburgh on the weekend, and it wasn't too bad on the weekend. But yeah, today and tomorrow is when we get down to business.
Yeah, it's really. We're lucky enough to have aircon in various bits of Shangri-La, so we've moved anyone that needs cooling into one of those areas. Turn the
Maybe
aircon
I'm not
on.
fooling.
Yeah.
Come on. There's no fire today.
So with apologies to the polar bears, we do have our aircon running. Guitar Guy 88 says, what is up? What's up?
What's up?
With your love of rosewood fretboards. I avoid rosewood fretboards like the plague, lol. Yeah, we do like rosewood boards. Most of our guitars have rosewood boards. It's not actually the plague. Interestingly enough, the dude who heads up Filed Guitars, Roger... I'll remember his surname in a minute. Anyway, he's allergic to rosewood, can you believe?
No.
Yeah, he developed it. During his time as a guitar maker, he developed an allergy to rosewood.
Wow.
Somebody's going to tell us what his name is. Roger...
Filed.
I've got his book as well. It's really nice. Roger... Come on, somebody. Roger. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we like rosewood. I mean, if you discount rosewood off the fingerboards of electric guitars, you cut out about 80% of all the guitars that were ever cool in history. So it's a bit mad to avoid them. But yeah, we like it. We like it. We don't dislike maple and ebony. We just have more guitars that have rosewood.
Yes.
Sergio Martinez. Hello, Sergio.
Hey, mate.
He says, Bucknell. Roger Bucknell.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Sergio Martinez. He says, hey, gents, it's been a minute. Massive episodes in the last couple of weeks. Cheers. Do you have any tips for getting good sound in tiny rehearsal spaces? Thanks again.
Such a great question. We did a podcast with Joe Bonamassa at the Royal Albert Hall a couple of months ago, talking about his use of different amplifiers in different spaces. And he was like, I can plug into a champ in the bathroom and it'll sound absolutely mighty. He says, but it's useless having that on the stage at the Royal Albert Hall. He needs, use the dumbbells and blah, blah, blah. So the choice of amplifier you use in a confined space will have a massive difference. I guess in a small space, be very wary of bottom end, because if you imagine those frequencies move in like cycles, and you don't, it doesn't take a lot before you're sort of filling up the whole room. But yeah, it's a apart from that, in a small space.
Yeah, I guess the problem with bigger amps is the sort of beaming tendency of the speaker. So, case in point, we recorded with this for the first time today. It's a Two-Rock TS1 that's living here for a while, and my goodness me, it's a very different experience.
Oh yeah,
it sounds utterly magic, but it is hot. It's often used racing car analogy.
Right.
It's a flipping Formula One car, and if I get into a Formula One car and try and drive it around a corner, I'm going to crash it, and we did a lot of that today. But so I guess what you're looking for is a sound that's loud enough to be heard, but not taking everyone's heads off. And I'll come back to the often mentioned 2 Pro Juniors wet dry, nice and quiet. You can get really big sound at lower volume, doing the wet dry thing, and because you've got a bit of spread there in the sound, it's not just coming out of one small speaker. I think it helps.
Yep.
So 2 little amps, wet dry is a really nice way to do it if you can be bothered. Yeah, rehearsals are a pain, aren't they? I mean, most of the rehearsals that I've done in recent years have been 2 types of rehearsal. The first is like everyone is learning the parts, so you're all arranged in a circle and everyone's dead quiet, and you're just learning the parts. So you're quiet, and it doesn't really matter what the tone is because you're just learning the parts.
Yep.
And then the second rehearsal is basically the production rehearsal, is the one where everything is at full chat, and it needs to be in a space that can take that.
Yeah.
Read what he just said.
Yeah.
So
which is why when bands who are doing that, they will have a smaller rehearsal space when they're getting things together. But when they do their production rehearsal, they can go to aircraft hangars and have the full-on thing, and because they need to experience what that sound is like when they're in the appropriate space.
Yeah.
No point trying to have a production rehearsal in a tiny little room, and you get out there. And I remember doing a gig at the Young Farmers Association, and I mean, I used to play my AC30 a lot, and I remember getting on stage with that and just like turning up. I was like, man, it wasn't even there. There was like 5,000 horrifically drunk young farmers, and
imagine the tractors.
And it was like the amp was so underpowered for that gig. It's like, okay, something 100 watt there would do. Yeah. It's a really important question.
Steve Salazar says Jeff Healey was famous for using the Japanese Squiers during that era. Yes, he was. Wow. Yes.
Roadhouse.
Remember seeing him play a black one, actually. God, he was ace.
Yeah.
He was flipping ace.
Yeah.
Did Mick hit record, says Peter de Leon. I did, Peter. Thank you. Thomas Neeson says, nice amp. Yes, indeed. And Keith from 5 Watt World said, I'm sorry, but that TS1 in suede. I know, it's pretty sexy, isn't it?
Banging.
It's pretty sexy.
And it sounds even better than it looks, I must say.
We've just got to learn how to drive it. Jonathan Catterall, Bucknell. Thank you, Jonathan, for saying that. For reminding us. I wore my Everything 2 o'clock t-shirt during a video meeting at work, said Steve Mass. My boss thought my shirt was giving 3 middle fingers. So I had to explain chicken knobs and TPS. Oh, Steve, thank you for that. There we are.
How does that...
Could be. I mean, I guess depends how drunk you are, I suppose.
Okay. At work? Nice.
Yeah, depends how bad the video feed is. Gaz Podmore. Hello, Gaz. We've got a super chat from you. Not sure if there is a queue. Gaz Podmore, here we are. BV, thank you. Thank you. He says, just a thank you to the guys. I'm currently building my first proper pedal board. Looking forward to meeting you both next year at the Experience Day. Keep up the fantastic work, legends.
Fantastic.
Nice one.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks to everyone who has been and is coming to Experience Days. Sorry we can't do more. It is finite.
It is.
I'm out. Actually, while we're on the subject of housekeeping, this week's business.
Nick.
This just in. We should so do that.
Love it.
And now the news. There is no news. Here's a Two-Rock. We have a winner in July's patron giveaway. It's the Love Pedal Amp 11 from my own personal collection.
Very nice.
We shall say well done to James from Austin, Texas.
Oh, fantastic. Well done, James.
Well done, James. In Austin, Texas there. Because that town needs more good guitar tone, doesn't it? What a lovely place Austin, Texas is.
I'm going to give away something from my collection this month.
Okay.
Yeah. My own personal reserve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's do that. The pedal will go out this week. For anyone who doesn't know, if you are a patron of That Pedal Show at patreon.com/That Pedal Show, current patrons on the cut-off date go into a giveaway draw. You get an email, you respond to the email, and you're in the draw. And if you win, you get the pedal. The next giveaway will be announced the first week of August. We haven't chosen what it is yet. However, I do have a Boss MD200 sat out there in a box. So it could be that.
Oh, okay.
Could be that, which would be nice. That would be nice.
Could be that.
Also, a bit of housekeeping. That pedal shop, thatpedalshop.com. Everyone in US and Canada, thank you for buying stuff from that pedal shop. It's one way in which we fund this enterprise. Amps are starting to get added to that pedal shop. There are some Marshalls in there currently. There will be Fenders, and more will start populating soon. So, yes, it's nice. And yes, also thanks to Affected. We sort of sneaked a new brand out last week called Affected, and just some nice stuff that we want to make with artisan craft makers of nice things.
Yes, very. What's the word? They're very conscious of every part of the process. Yeah. Just artists and crafters who make lovely things, and working together with some of those people to add some stuff to that pedal show store, which is not that pedal show branded. There you go.
Please have a look.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who's bought stuff. Right, back to the programme. James Green. Hello, James.
Hi,
Green.
James.
He says, I'm driving at the moment, but I could super chat now and send in my question when I'm parked. You're the best, BV. So we'll look out for a question from James. I think he wanted to get in. Here it is.
The marvels of modern technology.
He's skating on thin ice here. Here he says, bipedal, boys. Bipedal, boys.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Bipedal, as in two pedals, or indeed bipedals, which we like. He says, gas. I'm in recovery, and the feeling I get from finding a pedal and anxiously waiting for it to arrive is creepily similar to the obsessive thoughts and behaviours from my drinking days. Interesting.
Oh my goodness.
It definitely makes me feel better that I'm not alone in my impatient insanity. But what do you think is the cause of this? So, what is the cause of finding a new pedal and the feeling you get from it and waiting for it to arrive? Being obsessive kind of behaviour.
Oh man, my whole life is based on this. I had a similar experience. I had a pedal modded by Dan Coggins years ago, and I went to have a play with it this week, and someone had borrowed it and they'd broken the pot off it, and it's an old Dean Markley Overlord valve pedal that has been modded to be similar.
Is that the one that's over there?
Was over there.
Right. It probably just fell off a shelf or something.
Yeah. Actually, no, because it was loaned out to someone.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
That was me sort of tacitly admitting to probably having done it. But
I opened it up, and the pot, one of the pots had snapped off the circuit board. So, talking to my mate Paul Stacey, going, yeah, these things are, model that they're really great. And I haven't tried it in a long time. I opened it up, pot's broken. Trying to get it going, opened it up, pot's broken. So I ordered the replacement pot. I'm sat there next to the door going, come on, I want to hear it. It's like, and I've had this pedal for years, you know what I mean? But still the idea of, it'll fix it and it'll sound really good. And, and I still get it. Absolutely.
Dan's quite intensely, immediately focused, aren't you? Your life is about, whenever we do anything, everything's like right here. It's not a criticism. I think it's the way your brain works.
Absolutely.
And everything's right in front of you, and that's what you're excited about.
Yes.
And I wonder if it's got something to do with that.
Yeah, maybe. I think what it is, as musicians and artists, we have imagination, and something that when we see something, that visually might appear to us, we hear a sound, and we can imagine how that might apply to how we play in our rig, and it's once you're there and you can imagine that thing set up in your rig, it's exciting. Yeah.
I don't want to scroll past because there's a comment I want to read out, but if I scroll down, I'll lose the comments above. Anyway, I rather suspect further down in the comments, there may be people who know about this stuff saying things like, the excitement rush you get is essentially an endorphin release, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in terms of compulsive behaviours, or addictive type behaviours, I wonder if it's the same thing, like the rush you get from the anticipation of the drink or the drugs or whatever it is you take, plus when you start to drink or take drugs, the endorphin hit you get off that may well be similar to the endorphin hit you get off spending money. I mean, people can be completely addicted to shopping, can't they?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes if I like buy something, I don't know what I might buy, a pair of Converse or something, or a pair of Vans, it's very common that I will then buy something else from somewhere else because I'm in the
You're in the
acquisitive
mode. Okay, very
mode.
good.
And I think, yeah, with gear, it's interesting. It's much longer burn for me.
Right. Yeah, but depending on,
Like, I'm not. I've got to have it now. I've never really been that. I'm more of a kind of, I need to find the right route to getting there.
Yeah. But once you've found it, and it's like, you know, I mean, I was really excited when you were going to pick up a 61, but that must have been the most amazing feeling, actually, driving back with it in the car.
Yeah, it's crazy feeling. Still feel great about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting.
Maybe there's some more comments. The question I wanted to read out was from James Resch. Hello, James.
Hi, James.
He says, how conscious are you both of the licks you play when trying pedals or playing during videos?
I'm only ever conscious of playing licks if I'm struggling with the sound, which happens quite often. Yeah. There are times when I'm trying to play something that just doesn't suck. And if I'm struggling, it's like I've got a handful of things that I'm pretty confident that I can pull out. However, it's never the goal. The goal for me is to feel connected and just flow. That's the goal.
Yeah, there's a sort of an inherent problem involved in what we do, because in order for it to be a meaningful explanation or demo or whatever, you sort of have to play something that's simple enough to get the idea across and repeatable enough.
Yeah.
If you then want to try something else. Now, it's often said, well, why don't you just loop it and do it that way? For me, it takes every human aspect of how sound affects what you play out of the equation. So on the one hand, you want to be doing what Dan said and be inspired and let it take you. On the other hand, it's got to be comprehensible in some way. Also, I'm chiefly aware that on filming days, stopping and starting, getting things wrong, causes problems down the line like you wouldn't imagine in terms of knock on to edit time, flow of the video in the room. So I tend to try and play simple stuff because I know it's going to save us. And then the problem that gets you into is you just get really annoyed with your own playing, and I get like that all the time. I was like it all day today. I was just not happy with anything today because I just don't seem to be able to play very well at the moment. And that's purely a headspace.
Yeah, and your brain, because you're learning these really tricky songs.
Yeah, I'm in a terrible place for all that.
Yeah. So I don't think that's helping.
No, I've stupidly said yes to doing a gig, and I don't want to let them down. I'm not going to let them down, but it's so far above my ability that it's really kicking me in the nuts because I can't learn it.
You will do it, and you'll be amazing.
It'll be fine. I just need to find another route to it, but it's so hard. I can't commit any of it to memory, and it's really frustrating. And that's having a massive knock on to everything else I play. Now, the point of saying that is you're saying about, are you consciously aware? That's the problem. When you are consciously aware of what you're playing and you're thinking about it, that's when it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
So the good place to be for any musician or anyone who plays the guitar, not always the same thing, is to try and get rid of that consciousness of what you're playing. And that's the hard bit.
It is really hard.
And that's all about your general state of mind, your fitness, your just everything.
But every now and then, like if that being the goal, every now and then when it happens, it's a pretty special thing.
Yeah. It's lovely when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why having guests is so nice as well, because like when we had Simon on and Andy, obviously they're both utterly stellar players, so it's always going to be good. But it Dan and I can do the sort of shoveling bit in terms of making sure it all flows right and asking the questions, and they can just concentrate on their playing.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a bit of a organising, performing disconnect that I've always struggled with.
Yep.
But anyway, thanks for the question. Iron Wolf 1776. Let's have some more shows about optimising your amp and pedal setup, both for the stage and home. Yeah, optimising. I guess what's that? EQ, volume, gain levels.
Yeah. So, I mean, so much of this stuff comes back to gain structure, right? The way that you play at a rehearsal space might be very different to when you're actually performing live. So one thing that I struggle with my rig, and I'm looking at this at the moment actually, the reason I'm looking at some, valve gain stages, etc., is because I find my struggle is because to get the sound that I absolutely love, my amps have got to be in a place where they're happy, and it's not always appropriate. Whereas, hearing Mick's rack with the 250 watt valve stages and the preamps on the board, and he can pretty much set that at an appropriate level at rehearsal or at the gig or whatever, and it's really consistent. Whereas if I change the level of my amp, then I've got to go and adjust all my gain stages to either increase the distortion level up or down. So yeah, it's a really interesting question. It all depends on. It's a lot easier if you're using high headroom gear that's consistent at a certain, between a certain volume range. If what you're using is gear that you're relying on the limiting of the amplifiers, then changing the overall volume between rehearsal and gigs, that's where it becomes challenging.
Really challenging. There's a show coming up actually where Dan and I go through our rigs we use for the Andy gigs, and a lot of the stuff he's just mentioned is talked about throughout that show.
Yeah.
It's more interesting than I thought it was going to be, actually, that show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Chris Wells wants to know, how do you find a good clean tone with gain, volume and master volume? So thinking about, I guess, amps in the first instance, but a lot of those controls are also on pedals.
Oh, okay. So if you've got... So again, this comes back to gain staging, right? You've got... if you've got gain, volume and master volume, also what would be an example of an amp that has that? It'd be like a preamp, gain and volume, and then the overall volume of that.
Yeah,
so,
most modern amps.
Right. So the more gain that you have, the more you're feeding that first gain stage into the second gain stage, and that's going to give you compression and limiting. If you turn down the front end gain and open up the other side, that's going to give you they're going to give you more headroom to work with.
Yeah. In general, and it is always in general because some amps are slightly different, but for most modern, what we call master volume amps, that's to say that the gain control is separate from the master volume. You want the master volume as high as you can possibly get it.
Yeah. And
you want the gain or the channel volume, for example, on an AC15, it's called volume, but it's actually gain.
Right.
They are the same thing. So yeah, as Dan says, the control that's nearest the input of the amp is usually the gain control. That low, the master high.
Yep.
That's where you'll get the most headroom because you're creating the least amount of gain in the front end of the amp. So master high, gain low, those will be your cleanest sounds. And obviously the opposite if you want the most overdrive.
Yep. Perfect.
Good luck. Good luck. Let's see. Whit Anderson. Hello, Whit.
Hello, Woo.
He says, Friday's show had a high hit rate of knowledge nuggets and aha moments for me. I finally understand my struggles with the loop in my modern Plexi and why I don't use it.
Yep.
Thanks and much love from Hopewell, New Jersey.
Yeah. Yep. Well, us too, mate. We were right there. There's so many, for all the time that we spend with Simon, it never ceases to be amazing. His knowledge as a musician, harmonically, is just astonishing. But then you add to that his knowledge of amps and electronics, and it's like, wow, he's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, he's one of a kind.
He really is.
And it's nice. I think if you... it can be too much of a rabbit hole to understand everything technically. Like, I know people who will judge the sound of their overdrive pedal based on a sine wave of the...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, not a sine wave.
Some sort of
the oscilloscope wave of the distortion or the fuzz at whatever it, it's probably at 1 kilohertz or whatever it's at. And it's very easy to repack your knowledge with technical stuff that really has no relevance to your in-room experience of it. Yeah. And I guess what happens is the older you get, the more the two sort of jostle for position and at some point start to become one piece of knowledge. Yeah. Instead of a theoretical bit and an experiential bit, at the end of the day, it just becomes knowledge. And there's loads of stuff that Dan and I sort of probably know implicitly, or indeed as a result of having done it for so long, that maybe Dan less so, but certainly in my case, I can't really explain technically. So when somebody like Simon comes along, a bit like you, and unpacks that a bit, you're like, oh, right, that's why it is. The problem then comes when you try and reconstruct that, choosing a bit of gear or something because you've got that knowledge, and then all of a sudden it's not the experience you expected at all.
Yeah, right.
Because there's something else going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for the kind words, Whit.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Jamal Hill Richardson Albini.
Nice.
Hello, Jamal.
Hello,
he says,
Jamal.
Drumsticks. I saw Blue Oyster Cult on Saturday.
Ah, come on.
A 3-hour celebration of the electric guitar. Loud, great, 10-minute solos. Buck Dharma is criminally underrated.
Oh, what is it? Ding, ding, ding. So good. Gotta have more cowbell. How wonderful. I'd love to see them.
Nice one, Jamal. Mark Lavinish. Hello, Mark. Mark wants you to discuss, Dan, how the G2 volume insert for wet applications and how to best position it among the different loops. This thing is so powerful. I want to make sure I'm maximising it.
Oh, okay. So, G2 or G3 did you say? G2. Okay, so G2, the volume insert, you can move between the loops, and what we would do, there's a send and return that you can put a humdinger in that insert, and then move that insert in between loops. So let's say you got your 10 loops, and that you can stick that insert anywhere between those 10 loops. So you might have your gain pedals in your first 4 loops, and you want to split the signal after that. Well, you would place the insert after loop 4, and you'd have your humdinger in the volume insert. So once you press the post gain, which turns that loop on, it's stuck. It's positioned between loops 4. So then the signal will go out of the splitter, the humdinger, to your amplifier. So that one side the split will go to the isolated out to the dry amplifier, but the return will come back and your signal will carry on down the chain to loops 5 through to 10. And there you can have your wet effects, delays and reverbs, etc. And then that will go out of output 1 to your wet amplifier. So that happens in G2. In G3, you can do that automatically. There's no need to have a humdinger. You can move the isolated spot.
So far, this is how you do the wet-dry split. And if you want wet-dry-wet, you do have to do that in G3, because you could have your 2 wets coming out of G3 and your dry coming out of what he just explained.
Exactly.
But the specific question is about the volume pedal insert.
Yeah, so the volume pedal insert is part of that post-gain circuit, and that post-gain circuit is what you can move between loops. So send from the volume pedal insert into your splitter, your humdinger or whatever. The isolated output to the amplifier, the other output goes back into the return of the volume insert, and then you got to turn on post gain to activate that loop, and then just put that loop where you want in your signal path, and there you go, wet dry.
What about if you're using a volume pedal?
You put the volume pedal in line with the splitter. So out of the send into your volume pedal, out of your volume pedal into the splitter. Away you go. So then, because your volume pedal is at the front, and then you can still use it to affect the signal going to both amplifiers. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, makes sense?
Not really.
Right.
I thought it was for a volume pedal.
Well, it's for anything. It's an insert.
Right.
So you can stick anything you like in there.
I get the humdinger and the wet dry wet thing.
Yeah. So it's just, you can absolutely put your volume pedal in there, but you can put your volume pedal and your splitter in there and use it for your wet dry.
Would it potentially save you a loop then?
Can do, yeah.
So if the way I used to do wet dry in G2 was to use one of my loops to do the split.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to do that because you could use the volume pedal insert.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go.
I appreciate I'm slow, but that's because I don't
that's
understand. Rob Brewer. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
All the major minus sevens and diminished I've had to learn for this set have boiled my brain. Rob Brewer. Hello from 35 degrees Bristol. Says
Nice.
Bristol. Yeah, Bristol.
Cheers, drive.
Cheers, drive. Cheers, Tar Drive.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw Belle and Sebastian at the Harbourside here on Friday with, at times, 3 Telecasters on the go at once. A normal, a custom, and an Acoustasonic. How many tellies is too many? Or any guitar for that matter.
Man, don't ask me how many tellies is too many. Yeah. It's one of those things that the more it's like, if you weren't a guitar player, or you're sort of dabbling, and you hear a telly, you go, yeah, that sounds like a Telecaster. That's nice. That's a good telly sound. But me, it's like the tiniest difference in a telly. It's like a massive thing, which is why you have 17 Strats and I've got 1,600 Telecasters, because they all say something different.
Yeah. Well, the ridiculousness of that is my Strats are in this bracket of Strats, when the actual whole bracket of Strats is like that.
There you go.
Yeah, you keep splitting those hairs. I guess if it gets the job done. And a telly's a really interesting choice in that respect because it's such a versatile guitar, if not the most versatile guitar in so many respects, because of its simplicity, I guess. Keep them coming.
Indeed.
Keep them coming. Thomas Gelnar. Hello, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi, M&D. I'd love to hear more like Get Out of Your Comfort Zone, that episode. I'm totally interested in thoughts on what kind of song idea is sparked from a sound. Also, what kind of sound pushes my song the most? Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. It's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with that stuff, for me, is all done with the spirit of experimentation. And there's some really wonderful pedals out there that you can just mess around with. So I've just done a new pedal board for Stephen Wilson, and I put on the Red Panda Tensor and Particle, and I did a little clip on our Instagram of the board, and there's these really amazing ethereal sounds that are actually coming from those two pedals. I know the Tensor very well. I don't know the Particle very well. But I just set up a loop in the Tensor and turned on the Particle and was like, oh, man.
Off you go.
And just started... And all of a sudden, I'm hearing the stuff and going, there's a song there.
Yeah.
That's leading me somewhere, Yeah, experimentation.
It's so that Comfort Zone video that you talk about, that was really good fun. A really good challenge.
Oh, the flipping... You had a drone. You had a drone and you did the hero thing on top of the... Oh, it was just unreal.
Yeah, and it's interesting that. So, like a normal TPS video will take about an hour and... Well, it'll take about an hour and some to set up, maybe an hour and 20 to film, and then 6 or 7 hours to edit. Plus a bit of audio editing, which might be another 2 or 3 hours. So That's how long a normal video takes. That video took days.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah.
Days and days and days of work, which is brilliant, and we love doing it. But if we did that, there'd only be one video a month.
Yep.
And that's the difference between getting lost in actual creativity. Now that's not the hard bit. Getting lost in creativity is relatively simple because you just need to provide yourself with the environment in which to do it.
Yeah.
Minimal distractions, let it flow, don't get frustrated. You know, if it's not happening, come back to it. All that, you just got to let it go. The hard bit is then capturing that, trying to video it and trying to document the process, because one half of your brain is trying to do something free and the other half is nailing it down with making sure the cameras are working and the
Yeah. And it's one thing to do that as a process for someone else. To do that as a process when you're in the video,
it's so hard.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's not my natural environment. You know what I mean? As you know, some people, they get in front of the camera and they're like, they're a presenter and they turn it on, and they're amazing. They're amazing like that. It's like, you know, you and I mess around and have fun and we love it. But there are people who are just, they're born to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you're editing yourself, it's like, oh boy, it's a different thing.
It's really hard. Yeah, it is hard. But we totally feel you, because I think there was a lot of value in that show in many ways. I think certainly on the inspiration side, just having the guts to go, yeah, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to see it through. And so I think the original question was about learning more. It's from Thomas. What ideas are sparked from sound and how sound can push a song?
Yeah.
I think that is mostly about being in a headspace to allow it to flow, basically.
Yeah.
Totally. And then having the gumption at some point down the line to know how to self-edit.
Yeah.
My problem with self-editing goes, this is rubbish, I'm just going to bin it. This isn't as good as Dark Side of the Moon, therefore it doesn't deserve the light of day.
Yeah.
And you've got to stop somewhere short of that.
Yeah.
and
just let it be its thing.
Have the gumption to just finish it and let it be and let it go and then start the next thing. And I have all the admiration in the world for artists who are able to do that.
So Ed O'Brien put it beautifully. It's like there's a cycle. He goes, this is pretty good. This is okay. This is crap. I'm crap. You know, and then it comes back to, oh, you know, it's all right. You know, this is pretty good. So, you know, it goes through that cycle.
Yeah. And you got to get yourself back out of that. Mr. Wit30 says, I struggle with home recording because of the split in my brain between player and engineer. Totally,
mate. It's so hard.
I feel that so strongly.
It's why I haven't finished off my EP. I just can't. The music's done.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. It's that thing. I'm trying to record myself singing. I'm like, no. That's just really, really tricky.
It is thankless trying to do your own vocals.
Elias Bloom says, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. I like that.
Yep.
It's very good.
That is. Yeah. Just bash through it, says Scott from Baltimore.
Yeah, I like it.
We like this.
That's what we need to do. We'll get a list of all of our unfinished projects and we'll bash through them.
Yeah.
That'd be all of mine.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is you're always developing a bit, and you start something, and by the time you're at the end of it, you've learned something new about how to do it. So you want to bin it and start again, because you could do it so much better if you did it around, but then you would never finish anything. Hello.
Indeed.
11.50.
Hi, 11.50.
11.50. How much a glass of wine is in London these days? Morning, lads. Small glass.
Very good.
He says, morning, lads, and cheers from Hollywood.
Ah, hooray for Hollywood.
I'm thinking about downsizing my gear, and I wanted to hear your thoughts. What combination of one Fender and one Gibson would provide the widest range of tonal versatility?
Oh, that's a great question.
My first question is, do you want tonal versatility? I don't.
That's a great point.
Never been very interested in it. There's few guitar sounds that I like and a lot that I really don't. So I just want two guitars that nail the sounds I like.
There you go.
But
That's
if you
really
do want
good.
tonal versatility, that's a slightly different question.
Yep.
What would you choose, Dan?
2 tallies.
One's got to be a Gibson.
335 and a telly.
Yeah. Tough, innit?
It's really tricky.
It's the 6, maybe 7 guitar conundrum. Telly, Strat, and you might even argue you could throw a Jazzmaster in there
Yeah.
if you're not a massive fan of Tellys and Strats. However, for Dan and I, it's Telly and Strat. It's a 335, it's a Les Paul, or it's an SG. It's a Junior,
Yes.
and it's a Casino.
Yes. Come on.
So where are you going to sit in all of that? What kind of music do you play? There are days where I would say the Strat and the Casino would do everything
Right.
I ever need to do.
Yep.
There are other days where
But the sound you get out of your Strat, it's like you don't need anything else.
Strat and a Les Paul,
Yeah.
Strat and a 335. I think of the guitars I own currently, it would be the old Strat and the Les Paul.
Yeah.
The gold Les Paul.
Yep.
Before I had the gold Les Paul, every day of the week it would be the Strat and the 335.
Yeah.
Because you get that hollow thing,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
can be
yeah,
really
yeah.
good for some stuff.
But there's air in that Les Paul.
Yeah,
It's
man.
it's
It's astonishing.
It really is the craziest guitar.
It's astonishing.
Yep.
Good luck on the downsides. I think there's a lot of merit in that, actually,
Yeah.
in just focusing. I'm in this problem at the moment where I've acquired lots of things just recently, and this TS1 has turned up.
We've got 1,000 people watching us at the moment.
Hello,
Hello,
1,000 people. And you can just find yourself just sort of, I don't know what the analogy would be, being jostled around in a crowded room and not being able to talk to anyone because it's just too much chaos going on. And so to simplify from that and to pick something and to just concentrate on it, I think is where you can start to emerge as a musician. But having all these flipping toys to play with day in, day out, it does leave you a bit minister without portfolio, doesn't it, I think?
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah, it can do. But the other side of that is you can, I'll walk into my room and someday I'll feel, most days, 6 o'clock in the morning, I pick the telly off the wall. Lately, I've been grabbing this.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying, because the jazz thing, there's a woody tone about this guitar. And it just, for the jazz stuff, it sounds really great acoustically.
You've got to get a 335.
I do. I know. Yeah. I think that'll tick all those boxes for me.
Yeah. Lots of people. So Juggernaut is saying HSS Strat. Yeah, great shout. Dave Ryan. What about a 339 style? Yeah, there's so many guitars that are, modifications of those classic designs that we know and love that add massive versatility to the game.
Sure.
I'm unfortunately cognitively unable to see any guitar that isn't original.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I think it's too long working on guitar magazines where I'm just like, that's how it was in 1959. That's how it should be.
Sure.
But which is ridiculous, of course, because the proof is in the pudding. On this very channel, people come along with more modern guitars that are way more versatile and sound amazing. I've got a mental block to it.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
I was thinking, someone was saying the other day about getting us to build a couple of guitars. This might sound crazy, but I think I know the guitar I want to build. A green meanie.
Oh wow!
Would love to build a green meanie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that, and the sound of that guitar in those albums and Eat 'Em and Smile.
If you don't know what Green Meanie is, it's Steve Vai's guitar before he went to Ibanez.
Yeah.
A much modified Strat.
Super Strat.
Super Strat,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. Is it the one he plays in Crossroads?
No. He plays it. It's a Charvel. There's no, the headstock it's a black guitar. The headstock is thing, but I think it's a Charvel.
It's the guitar on Eat 'Em and Smile anyway.
Yeah.
Or it's one of the guitars on Eat 'Em and Smile, which, just for me personally, is my favourite Vai tone of all time ever.
Absolutely. There's stuff on Flexible that is astonishing, but Eat 'Em and Smile for me is the greatest recorded rock guitar tone of all time.
think
I know, but
Mr.
that's
Van
for
Halen
me.
might have something to say about that.
Yeah, but no, I think for me, I think it's as much about when I was growing up and discovering guitar.
Yeah.
And when I heard that,
Time and a place.
That's exactly, because there's so much stuff going on, and those songs like Elephant Gun. That whole album was a massive marker for me in my development as a human. It's great.
Matt Miller says, what about an acoustic? Yeah, good shout. In the 2 guitar choices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be hard to live without an acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Impossible to live without my acoustic guitar now.
Yeah.
Once you've found a great acoustic guitar, like I was playing your Collins the other morning and just messing around with some sort of lower end harmony, and it's like, oh man, the way it holds on to the low end is just astonishing.
Yeah, it's an amazing guitar.
Yeah.
I did a gig with it last Sunday, actually. I just love playing that guitar. Love playing that guitar. Anyway.
Tim Lurch is in the house.
Hello, Tim.
He says, for me, it's a Tele and an L7, but yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Matthew in Gallinera. Hello, Matthew. He says, hi, Dan and Mick. I've rewatched the Andy Timmons episode several times, and I'm loving the sound of the Keeley Halo. I would love to see you guys look into it more at some point soon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we could add, really.
No, I mean, the tricky thing with that, it does so much. If you want to see a really good demo of the pedal, there's loads out there, but my favourite was from I mentioned him in the show.
Jay
Leonard J. His demo of that pedal is spectacular.
All his demos are spectacular.
He is so good. If you guys haven't seen Jay Leonard J's demos, go and check him out. Honestly, he is amazing.
He is amazing.
But his demo of the Halo,
you should see him sing as well. Holy crap!
Yeah, perform like he's a born performer. He's really amazing. But his demo of the Halo will show you all the other stuff the Halo does. It beautifully. It's really, really great. But yeah, we will use the Halo, but part of it'll be, we'll be playing it going, wish Andy was here.
Mojo says, pedal order. I have a Cardigan low gain overdrive, a Prescription Electronics dual tone, a Vox Wah, Barnacle fuzz, a multiplex delay and reverb, and a rotor vibe. What's the best order?
Oh boy.
Okay. What do we always say about gain pedals, Dan?
So, as a rule, as a very loose rule,
a start point.
Start with your highest gain pedal and then move to the lower gain pedal. Reason being, the lower the gain in the pedal, the more headroom it has. So if you want to then combine them, the pedal further down the chain with more headroom, it'll be easier to give it a boost or whatever, as opposed to just compressing more. And there are exceptions to this, like treble boosters and things that you want to shape the front end. But yeah, as a general rule, the higher gain pedals first to the lower gain pedals. And so why that's important is we get asked a lot. I've got a blues driver and a tube screamer and a D&M drive and yada, yada, yada. What order should they go in? It's not about what pedals you've got. It's about how you're using them. So, you might like, the way I use my D&M drive is quite high gain. So it's always early on, but Mick uses his as a boost, and that'll be further on down the chain. So it all depends on how you're using your pedal.
Yes, that it does. Some of the other things that are jumping out here. So, wah, you've got a Vox wah and a fuzz. Now, normally that may create a problem because fuzzes tend not to like being after wah-wah pedals, but that's where you might want them for the sound. So personally speaking, I always put my fuzz first, then my wah. However, the Barnacle fuzz that you're talking about is a more modern design. Apparently, I've just read about it on the internet. looking for the sound of germanium, but they use different kinds of transistors to get the sound. Plus, it's got buffered and buffer bypass options in it. So it sounds like potentially your barnacle fuzz is going to be less problematic than a strict vintage fuzz.
Yeah.
So in terms of what comes first, try the wah, try the fuzz, try them the other way around and just see.
Indeed.
Just see how that works. Next, we're on to probably your rotor vibe wants to come next. Generally vibe after fuzz, before overdrive. That's a really nice place to play it. So Robin Trower, for example, has his vibe before overdrive. Great sound. Hendrix, after fuzz, but before the amps, which were massively overdriving. So in a way, and Trower's amps will be overdriving as well. In a way, you've still got the vibe before the overdrive. If you put vibe after overdrive, what you can get is a very nasty high-end sizzle as the phase sweeps all the way up, goes to the high frequencies, can get really brittle and nasty. Whereas if you put it before the overdrive rounds a lot of that off. So we're going to say wah, fuzz, rotor vibe. I don't know what the Prescription Electronics dual tone is. I'm assuming it's an overdrive, but it could be anything. Then stack your overdrives in gain order.
Yep.
Play with that
first.
And then your reverb delay at the end.
Yep.
That's a good place to start.
Good place to start. Very good.
Yeah. Also, if you're never going to stack this overdrive pedal and this overdrive pedal, doesn't matter what order they go in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can matter if one is buffered and one isn't.
Yeah. Get your buffers as far down towards the amp as you can.
Yep. Yeah. But try it out.
Good luck.
My friend says, your camera is so real, my brain is telling me that you are physically in the computer. And
we want whatever you're having.
And a lot of people, Robbie Mason says, that is a very sexy Two-Rock. Yeah, a lot of people sort of blown away by the TS1.
It's pretty nice.
Oh, man. It
sounds crazy good. Sounds crazy good in the room. I'm looking forward to hearing it recorded.
Yeah. I had a blast playing through that too.
It is harmonically bonkers.
Yeah. I love the gain channel in it, but for me, the overdrive
pedal into the clean channel.
The Kaluna into the clean channel was like, magic.
Nice. You'll get to hear that in a couple of weeks. Moz Wright says, bonjour les gens magnifiques.
Oh, bonjour, camembert.
He says, 13 is my lucky number. My KOT, in antique silver, don't you know?
Come on.
Arrived 1313.
Nice.
After 13 days on lift, 1,313 days.
That's what you get if you sold it.
Yeah. It is beautiful. There we go.
Yeah. It's amazing. It is such an amazing pedal. I love it.
Nice one. Mojo says, here's a pizza on me.
Oh, bless you. Thank you,
Mojo.
mate. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, during lockdown, we bought an Uni pizza oven. Pellet-fired pizza oven.
Right.
Brilliant. Struggling a bit with the temperature on the stone because if it's too high, it burns the dough.
Right.
And because it's fired, you can't just turn the gas down.
Right.
When you get it right, they are spectacular. They're as good as any restaurant pizza. Nice thin base.
We're going to Rome for a holiday. And we're going to go down to Pompeii and that stuff. And on the way back, we're going to stop in Naples just to have a pizza.
Hooray! No tomato sauce in Naples, right?
Yeah. But it's the Napolitano thing.
Yeah.
And apparently, we're not going to stay there long.
Yeah.
But apparently, that's what you've got to experience.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, tomato sauce in Naples, but I think it's the classic white sauce, isn't it, on the pizza there?
Right. Okay.
I think so. I could be wrong. Italians, help. Anyway, yesterday, tried the a gas-fired version of one.
Right.
It was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I reckon that...
Yours isn't gas?
No, it's wood pellet fired. It's actually...
Wow.
There's a fire in the back of it.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Yeah. It's proper wood fired. And I tried a gas one for the first time, and it was pretty good. Much more controllable.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, nice.
I got so for my 50th, my wife bought me a big 6-burner barbecue. All right. and we use it all the time. I used it yesterday actually, and I was always, you know, got my wood, got my charcoal. You know, this is how I do my barbecue. I would never do that again.
You like the gas?
It's just so good. It's
It is.
15 seconds later, I'm ready to cook. It's just brilliant.
I've got a little portable one that you can take anywhere, made by Weber, and that is really, really good. I still maintain that a well-stoked charcoal or wood barbie is the best taste.
Yeah, mine's pretty good.
But it's such a hassle, and you get like a very... Look at us talking about barbecuing when there are Americans watching. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know,
this is like us talking about soccer to a
bunch
of Premiership footballers.
I've done barbecue my whole life.
Actually, yeah, Australians, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are born in the barbecue, aren't you, basically?
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. Not so much us Brits, because we don't have the weather for it. So, anyway. Finally on that, you're talking about buying ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Do you remember VW Audi had the naughty where they lied to everyone about the emissions?
Oh, yeah.
There was a huge class action, so anyone that had bought a VW or an Audi got a payout just recently if you were in one of the class actions. Catherine got a small payout. And I said, oh, you should buy yourself something nice. She's like, yeah, I want to buy some ladders. I'm like, what?
Some ladders?
Yeah. Japanese ladders, right? For trimming hedges and such.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, that was unexpected. That was properly unexpected. So, yeah. Louis Haitley wants to know, which guitar is the biggest dent in your rack?
Has the biggest dent?
I think it's the custom shop Strat.
Oh.
Because a Roger Mayer wah fell from the top shelf on to the end of the lower horn. I shall show it to you thusly.
Let's compare dents. You see,
more longitudinal bigness.
Yes.
More depth, largeness.
But mine is more visible. Mine is right there. It's like, hey, I've broken this. Whereas you can hide yours. We'll let the good people decide, Michael. There's Mix.
It's not very bright there, but it's quite a chunk. It's probably it's a good 6 millimeters deep, which is about 9 inches, I think, in old money.
Right, there you go. Look at that.
Back a bit, Dan. No light.
I know.
There you go. See the light pick it up?
I know.
Nice.
It's not focusing. Come on, right here. There you go.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. Although I did notice the 61's picked up a few more nice little
but that's just love.
scratches.
That's just love.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Now this one, I'll never forget it. It says a Tin Spirits rehearsal, and I had the guitar on me, strap, and I thought I've got to adjust my microphone. I thought, oh, surely it's going to be okay if I just, because the strap's on it, it's all good. I'll just let go for a second. As soon as I let go, strap comes off and the guitar goes bang, and that is the lip of my flight case. Anyway.
It still bothers you?
It still bothers me, yep, it does. I don't like it.
I've got a nice big one in the back of my Collings neck. First time I brought it in here, put it on the rack, managed to catch it on the guitar stand as I put it in. I have been told how to fix it, and I am going to do it.
KJ Photo says Dan's laptop still has the worst dent. Yes, I'm so glad you remember that. That was heartbreaking.
Funny. Hey, what's this? Catherine come back. Oh, hello, Rosie.
Still so hot.
Hello, you.
Hello, baby dog.
Hello, you. Hello, babe. Hello, darling. I missed you too. Hello, darling. Yes.
Hello, Rosie. Have you had a nice day? You going to come up then?
Hello.
Rosie's been in daycare today. It's been very hot, so they've had these little cooling jackets on. Hello. Off you go. Crazy dog.
Come on.
She wants to sit on Uncle Dan's lap.
Whoa. Ah, hello, baby.
Oh, he's getting the hugs.
Hello,
Dad's
baby.
getting the hugs.
Hello, baby. I know I missed you too. Whoa, right in the mouth.
I don't get the hugs because I'm the guy that says no all the time. Off you go, Rose. What are you doing?
Bless her.
What are you doing? You okay? You had a nice day? Bless her.
Yeah. Oh, you're such a good
Don't
girl.
be laughing at my ladders.
I'm not laughing, just saying it's unusual. Catherine said, don't laugh at my ladders. Have you bought them yet?
No, not yet.
Anyway, there you go, pup date. Right. Greetings, says Theodore Molander. Theodore. From Sweden.
Ah. Yeah.
He says, greetings. If you had to practice, play and record silently, would you go for an amp sim like the new UA line, the Woodrow, the Dream, and whatever the other one's called, the Ruby, or a load box and IRs, or just something else? I have a Blues Junior and an AC-15 at my disposal.
Oh, man. So I've got an ISO cab that works really well for me. I know people who get really amazing results with load boxes. Joey uses the Boss one, and he makes it sound fantastic. I struggled, but when I found the Grossman ISO cab, and I just got a great sound in seconds. Now that's for recording. For practicing, it's just the Boss was Air headphones. They are brilliant because you can link them up to your phone. So every morning I go downstairs, get the phone on, get the Waza headphones on, and I'll play along to stuff. And it's completely silent. No one can hear, but I'm rocking out, living the dream downstairs. It's great.
Yeah.
But silent recording is the only way I can make that work is with an ISO cab.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of Dan just mentioned that Joey, for example, Joey Landreth, can get fantastic results out of a particular piece of gear, and the reason for that is he really knows how to record stuff, and he spends his life recording stuff, and he can bend the thing into a really, really usable and great sound. Yep. So that is all to say, it doesn't really matter what you use. What matters is you know how to use it.
Yes.
And I think a bit like guitars and amps and stuff, you see endless discussions about what's best and what's better and what all the rest of it. None of that is true, really, because what matters to the individual is that you can get the best out of it that you can get. So I would say commit to whatever it is that you feel inclined towards, and then just spend the time with it.
Yeah.
There is a vast vertical curve of diminishing marginal returns in cost when it comes to recording. So, and that sort of goes hand in hand with the time and the stress that it takes. Because if you buy a load of complex gear you're not familiar with, it's going to take you ages to do it. You'll lose all your inspiration, and it probably won't sound great.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you can hit the ground running with something super simple that plugs straight into an interface and gets you going quickly, you're going to get better results doing that. So all of which is to say, personally speaking, I just can't do the digital latency thing. I just can't do it. And I can't do the headroom loss that you get. So I would put together something like an analog, one of Simon's analog pre's. The cab part is so hard, getting that speaker feel. I think I've had as good results out of UA aux as I have had anything else.
Sure.
But that's because I haven't spent a lot of time with two notes.
Yeah.
And most people I know say that the two note stuff is utterly fantastic.
Yeah, we are going to get Jason and Co from Two Notes to come down at some point. And, but yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I guess because I've got a vague idea of how sticking a microphone in front of a speaker can
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So
I struggle to hear anything else now. Particularly if Dan and I are going the other way. In the TPS studio, we're getting rid of as much of our digital gear as we can, or at least pushing it as far down the chain as we possibly can, trying to keep everything as analog as possible. So
Yeah.
nice microphone, nice mic pre's, nice rack analog outboard gear. And that's why when you walk into a really great recording studio, that's the stuff you're going to see.
yeah,
Because it requires less work.
yeah, sure.
It's really expensive, but the amount of work you have to do to get a great tone is just vastly less.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is not to say that used by somebody who really knows what they're doing and has put the time in, that you can't get fantastic results
Yeah.
out of the other stuff, because you absolutely can.
Indeed.
You absolutely can. Probably more important than anything else, invest in a really nice pair of open back headphones.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
So you can have it nice and loud in your cans, but the open back nature of them just allows a little more air in your experience of the sound. Might also enable you to hear the guitar a bit better acoustically. So yeah, I would say stress less about what it is that you choose quickly, and just use it and use it and use it and use it, and you'll start to find you'll get great sounds pretty quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Michael Gilberto says, has to do it, just ordered a Halo from that pedal shop. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, mate.
I'm pleased they've actually got any stock.
It's amazing.
I would have thought they would have sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of people coming in saying, so Gene Johung said he started using Two Notes Captor X for home and live. Still have my HX Stomp and been a long Helix user. Mesa 535 with the usual pedal board sounds fantastic. Fantastic, yeah, so familiarity,
Yeah,
all important.
definitely.
Yeah, nice. Chris Graham, I use pedals into my audio interface. Bias FX2 for the amp, sounds great for recording at home through something like Ableton.
Nice.
Yeah. Mark Sieber wants to know, does the compressed dentwood change the tone? Need before and after videos. Mr. Wit 30, I just recorded in a nice studio in Muscle Shoals. They just mic the amps in an isolated room and work their magic in the control room.
There you go.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Rhino Jam says, hey, teachers of tremendous tone. I discovered that Bad Cat Cub amps have a switchable 12AX7 or EF86 preamp. Was wondering if you tried one out and had any thoughts.
No, I haven't tried them, but that's really interesting. I mean, I love EF86 preamps. I use the EF86 preamp on my Matchless and on my AC30, and I just think they're glorious.
Yeah, we had a Morgan
Oh yeah,
Dual 20 for a minute there, and that had a 12AX7 or EF86 in the same manner.
yeah,
It's funny, isn't it? I can't make EF86s sound any good.
right.
I can't. Something about the feel doesn't work with the way I play. But Dan, all day long.
Yeah, love them.
So nice to have the option, I guess.
They're great amps, actually. The Backhead amps. The one that I've been like Stephen Wilson's Bagcat's amazing. Actually, Danny Jones,
Oh yeah.
his Bagcat, like a 100-watt Bagcat, flipping monstrous.
Yeah. What are they called? Not Busted.
McFly.
McFly. Yeah.
McBusted.
Yeah. Brilliant. If you don't know about McFly and their awesome guitar sounds and ability to play guitars, check it out. They are
write songs.
stunning
They're great.
songwriters and guitar players and tone people in general. Elias Blum. Gain stage dreams realised at last. Astratone.
Sorry, I just got to show you this. Tim Lurch watching us playing a little bit of jazz.
Nice.
Come on!
I got a gig on August the 11th, Tim. Are you available?
Medieval Cookery with Arpad says Dan's Dent wins, I think, but I just saw someone else saying that your Dent wins. So, yeah, it's neck and neck. In the
Dan's is
That's
wider,
right.
mine's deeper. I don't know what you prefer, really. Elias Blum, he says, my gain stage dreams have been realised at last. Got an Astrotone from Analog Man.
Oh, they are so good.
Then going into a King of Tone, high gain version. No, high gain on the red side. Into a light speed, and it's outstanding.
Yeah, good man.
He said, love you, thanks for inspiring me to find my sound.
Oh, mate, that's
All
wonderful.
hail Analog Man.
Oh, man.
I think we concur.
Yeah, but tell you what, he also makes a fuzz called the Peppermint Fuzz, which is just so good. He knows how to voice a fuzz. He knows what makes the fuzz sound great and feel great. What I love about Mike is that he posts videos of him downstairs at Madison Square Basement,
Yeah.
just playing like all the time and coming up with sounds and you know, playing along with songs and stuff. He loves it so much, and you can tell because it comes out in the pedals he makes.
Yeah,
It's really, really beautiful.
So do you remember being underneath Analog Man's house having a jam?
Yeah, Madison Square Basement. That's what that is. It's just the best thing ever.
Happy day, Tippy Toes, says Jim B.
Cheers, man, and to you.
Looking forward to Earthquaker days here in Akron. No question, just a lot of appreciation for you guys.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Is Earthquaker Day something that Earthquaker devices do, maybe? Maybe?
We're still talking about having a TPS weekend at it's like Centre Parks or something.
Oh yeah, annual day that they have.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great.
Be brilliant.
Butlins. TPS Butlins.
Butlins can get a bit messy,
Yeah.
but I think
Why else would you go there?
Doug and I used to
It's
do.
not for the beautiful decor and
No, it really
luscious
isn't. No,
surroundings,
no.
is it?
But the Centre Parks is really good. I think Centre Parks would be great.
Yeah. I mean, Butlins Centre Parks are not the same thing.
No.
I don't mean to diss Butlins, by the way. It may have improved since I went there
No,
last.
it hasn't.
Yeah.
It really hasn't.
Yeah, they do those adult weekenders. No kids allowed. It's basically where stressed out parents go for a weekend and get smashed from the moment they walk through the door to the moment they leave.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So we used to play loads of Butlins at those weekends.
I've done my fair share.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. And that was Voodoo Child. Next for the meat draw. And could the owner of a Blue Sierra registration A123BOC please move it? It's blocking a fire exit.
I've got a story about a meat raffle. When we were on tour with my first band, and Brendan, who's like one of my best mates, the bass player, and we were broke, like absolutely flat broke. And his brother came on tour and helped us out, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry, lads." He says, "Whenever I enter a meat raffle, I will always win." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yep." So I think we pulled together our last $1. He goes and wins the meat raffle. So we had dinner. It was great. But he said, like before, he goes, "Sorry, just give me $1, and I'll win the meat raffle."
I need
It was
$1.
just awesome.
$1 is all I need. To all our friends in the USA, let us know if meat raffles are a thing there. They were a thing here in the UK.
Massive thing in Australia.
Oh, so
massive
as
thing in
part of an
Australia.
evening's entertainment, there would be a raffle for some meat. Could be anything. Could be like a side of beef or
We'd have a big platter, a big tray of stuff.
Yeah. Some nice sausages.
Yeah, some chops. And
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, all nicely warming up all night, So please let us know, people in America, are meat raffles a thing, and are they called meat raffles? I'm interested.
$1 a ticket, 3 for $2. Bill Green. No, they're not. Fuse 404. Never heard of it. No. There you go.
Thanks, Bill. Michael Gilberto. Giliberto. Sorry, Michael Giliberto. Congrats on another stellar Friday episode. Simon is an ideal guest, isn't he?
Oh, he's wonderful.
Super tech savvy and a great player. Now I need an artisan as well as a Halo. Funny you should say that. When we got to the end of the video, we were a little bit rushed. Time was running on, and we sort of hacked through the artisan bit quite quickly. Andy had turned up, and we were filming with him. So I think neither Dan nor I was fully engaged by that point for various reasons. Hearing it back on the audio,
It's amazing.
it sounded, because I was a little bit confused about what I was hearing in the room.
Right.
Hearing it back on the audio, I was like, there's my new fuzz.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's astonishing.
It sounded stellar,
Yeah.
and certainly the cap thing, being able to change the bright cap.
Yep.
Flipping hell. Super cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Super, super cool. Yeah. Sam Foyer. Hello, Sam. So can I have a suggestion for a telly bridge that allows for all 6 strings to be intonated individually?
Yeah, you can get those. Mastery do them, and there's a few things. I think part of the part of the vibe of a Telecaster is working with those bridges to make them, So, like, for example, on both of my tellies, I've got what are they called? Not tungsten, titanium, and they are compensated to get it in the right ballpark, and that's they work. You can get replacement bridges where you can
I've got visions of a version of a telly 3-saddle bridge, but the 3 brass ones are just split, or they're individually movable in some way, and I can't quite remember what it's called. Dan's shout of mastery is a really good shout. Check out Mastery bridges. And there's another brand that I'm trying to remember who always used to be on Instagram, do beautiful stuff. However, you can get compensated, so you have the 3 and they're compensated. I personally have never had an issue with that, but if that's not quite right, yeah, so
yeah, you can see.
Yeah, basically where the biggest issue in intonation is, it'll be pre-bent to correct it enough.
Yeah.
If you're going for the vintage telly vibe, if your telly's much more modern and you're not worried about it, then yeah.
It was when I used to play.
They pretty much all of them.
That. With the stock, it was just all over the place. But with the compensated ones, it works.
Yeah, I mean,
that's enough for jazz.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are some people playing? Saying Fuse 404 says he has Goto compensated brass saddles. Out of Touch says Callahan. G&L makes one for the ASAT. Yeah.
Tim Lurch, Glendale compensated brass.
There we go.
Nice.
Glendale compensated brass. Wow. Sanifar says meat raffles are not a thing in Denmark either, but if you went to the bingo hall, you could win a frozen duck.
Fantastic.
That is awesome.
Wouldn't you just go outside and just pick a frozen duck out of the snow?
Jonathan Reno says meat raffles are a thing in Minnesota and other states close to Canada. Okay. Patty D says meat raffles in the US. Yes. Yeah. Nice. Well, this is good.
Very good.
Maybe we could have one here. Michael Sharp, no meat raffles in the US, you psychos. Meat raffles sounds like a euphemism, says Frankie Holt. And Eric Caturl says no meat raffles in upstate New York. David Pekarski, I've never heard of that in Texas, but I wouldn't mind winning. Imagine a meat raffle in Texas. They'd probably just wheel in a cow, wouldn't they?
Here you go, Daisy.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, good luck, Sam. There's plenty of suggestions coming through in the chat, people who know more about that kind of thing than Dan and I. But if it is a vintage style telly, do try some intonation compensated ones, because they're not tremendously expensive, and it's an easy thing to just try and see if that's enough for you.
Indeed.
Eagle Ray Rob. Now I'm waiting for a Juggler version 3 and a Two-Rock TS1. Please don't play a Silver Sterling Signature anytime soon. Great show on Friday, thanks. Good luck, Rob.
Wow.
That's some pretty serious stuff you got coming. I have to say, the TS1 is magic.
Yeah.
It takes some getting used to. I did read in the Dumble book an interview with the dearly departed Mr. Dumble. He says because it's heavily inspired by Dumble Overdrive Special, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where everyone thought that's what every Two-Rock was, but it's not the case. Anyway, blah blah blah. He said when you approach the Dumble amplifier, approach it gently. Figure out what all the controls do and play it real low, because it will frighten you.
Yeah.
And Dan, as you know, I'm not afraid of a loud guitar amp. That has frightened me.
Absolutely. We're setting up today
in a way that the CRS doesn't.
And we're playing that, and I'm going, I mean, it was loud. I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. And Mick's like, there's a mid-range there. Let's dial that back a hair for a second. But it's what that amp is capable of is astounding.
Yeah.
Absolutely astounding.
Yeah. It's you got to know how to drive that, really. I think it's going to be a little while learning. But the result, harmonics. What?
Gary Gaggle says, look at the state of that telly, Dan. It was new once, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes, it was brand new. It was, they called it new old stock. I don't know if they still do them, but that was...
They do.
Yeah. So every dent and mark on that is real.
Yep.
As in I did it. Of course, all dents are real, but yeah.
They certainly do still do NOS.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. It's for people who don't want a relic guitar, basically.
Right.
Perilous Temple. So great to hear and see Simon again. Simon Jarrett, who was on the show on Friday. I learn something every show. I understand my own amp so much more now. The PI phase inverter is a huge part of the magic for sure. I get it. Thanks for what you do. Cheers and big love.
Yeah. That whole phase inverter conversation, if you watch one thing from that video and you want a bit of a knowledge to take away, watch that. Unreal.
Yeah, really, really cool. Acoustic Rocker. Good evening, gentlemen. I hope TPS headquarters has aircon. Mick, could you run through why you prefer 7.25 to 9.5? Pros and cons. We do have aircon, but we can't have it turned on because it's so noisy it will wreck the voice mics. We can have it turned on when we're not recording. It's really weird, because I definitely prefer 7.25 on Fenders, and I think that's largely because it's what I've played for all of my life. Now, for those of you unaware, fingerboard of an electric guitar has a curve on the top of it. That curve is called the radius, and I'm sorry if that's oversimplistic, but for anyone not following. Now, on a vintage Fender, and many modern Fenders, the radius curve is 7.25 inches, right? So that means, I'm not sure if it's the centre of the thing that curves it. I guess it probably
radius.
is.
Yeah, radius, boom.
So whatever's putting the curve on it, the distance from the swing to the cutter is 7.25. Is that the way it goes, or is it just... Anyway, whatever.
There's radius, diameter, and circumference, and that's what the radius is.
As the... Yeah, so if this fingerboard was a complete circle, it would be 14.5 inches.
Yes.
Diameter.
Yep, there you go.
Please tell me that's true. curvy. If you look at your first ever nylon string classical guitar, you'll see that the fingerboard is basically flat.
Yeah.
Now a Gibson, classically, is 12 inches, so it's flatter. The potential problem with a more heavily radius fingerboard is when you get up here and start bending strings, for a lower action, you get a bit more choking on the choking out. So Fender over the years has moved to a 9.5 inch radius board, which enables a slightly easier, or it can enable a slightly easier setup of the guitar, lower action for less string buzz. However, they do feel different, and if you've been playing a curvy fingerboard for a long time, as I have, there's just something about the comfort of it. So chording down here, just really comfortable for first position chords and all that.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely sort of feel. Also, on specifically on Fender guitars, you've generally got an unbound fingerboard. And what happens is, and this is true whether it's maple or rosewood, over the years, that edge gets rounded off. And indeed, if you buy a new custom shop guitar, or many, many new guitars, they will round it off. So it increases the sort of comfort level of, so you don't get a sharp edge on the fingerboard. And all of that just means it's really comfortable for chording and doing all of that. Problem comes when you get up here, if it's too curvy, like I said, can be more difficult to play tricky stuff, and the bending, you can get choking out. Now, good setup, nice fret job, you can bend on these all day long, as many musicians have proved down the years. So yeah, I much prefer 7.25. I just think it feels nicer, it's much more familiar. The weird thing is, so I feel uncomfortable on a 9.5 inch radius board. The weird thing is, Gibsons are 12, and I've got no problem at all with those.
Right, wow.
So, on this Leslie Paul,
That's a 12-inch radius.
it's a 12 inch radius board, so
Right.
the board is much flatter.
Interesting.
And I don't worry about that at all, because it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm sure if you had a guitar and you just played it for a long time, you'd soon adapt.
Sure. Steve Salazar says, I know Eric Johnson had the fretboard radius on his 54 Strat flattened. I don't recall what he had it flattened to, though.
Yeah, I think the Eric Johnson signature Strat is a 12.
Right. Oh,
think-
interesting.
I think. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, Dan. Would it?
Be the first time for me, mate.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, you could check that. So yeah, it's definitely a personal thing. It's not universal. Some people can't play the curvy radius at all. They much prefer a flatter radius. On certain modern guitars, you get what's called a conical radius, and indeed on modern Fenders as well, where it can be curvy down here but flat up here. So it might go from 9.5 to 12 inches.
Right.
And it flattens out as it goes up the board. So, ergo, the best of both worlds. Yeah. I had a long discussion with someone once. I can't remember who it was. It was a guitar builder who told me you should never call it a compound radius. You should always call it a conical radius.
Right.
Don't know. Yeah, hope that helps, Acoustic Rocker. Apparently there are 12-inch radius classic players. Yeah, a BE Ninja is saying it was 12-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of people disagreeing with the maths.
No. It was correct.
Yeah. There we are.
Radius from the center out.
Yeah.
Diameter all the way across. Circumference all the way around.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just wasn't sure how it related to how they were made.
Yeah, but the radius, it's a 7.25 radius.
Yeah.
Which means if you kept going,
Yeah.
you would get. You were right. You were bang on
Dan.
right.
This is good.
You nailed it on.
Yeah. If now what was his name? Phil. Who was his first name? I'm my maths teacher at school.
Collins. Collins.
No. I want to say Caswell, but I don't know. That's somebody else. Carswell.
D-Max's late reply. We have meat bingo in Canada.
Meat bingo. 88. 4 weirdly shaped sausages.
66, all the chops.
It'd be great to be a bingo caller, wouldn't it? Yeah. 61. Arguably the greatest strap profile ever made. Paul Jolstead. Hello, Paul. I just found a Keeley modded blues driver not 10 minutes away from my house at a bargain. As Mickey's want to say, happy days.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're getting rarer, those things, because he doesn't do it anymore. So, Ran's there. Ran wants to know, we have to choose our fate, Dan.
Okay.
You can join a band of either a legendary singer, think Aretha or Freddie or someone like that.
Yep.
B, a mythical songwriter,
Yep.
for example, Dylan, Joni Mitchell,
Yep.
or a guitar god.
Singer every day of the week. It's so easy. Quick story. Mick and I were in LA, and our friend Owen Barry, who's now playing guitar for the Chicks,
Ah, yes.
took us out to this venue, and there was this band. We were there watching, and they were okay. And Owen says, "Just wait," and then the singer gets up, and this guy was unbelievable. He was anyway. Apparently, he was a soul singer back in the 60s. Like, it was quite a big deal. And the difference between the band when he came on and the band just came up to a different level, and we were captivated. So for me, every day of the week, I'm lucky. I've worked with some amazing singers in Australia, and some of the best gigs I've ever done, like playing with Max Schramm, who she was the most incredible singer, and everything would lift. So singer every day of the week for me.
See, some people would say that, given your options there, that Freddie is both. Freddie Mercury would be a legendary singer and a legendary songwriter.
Yeah.
As would Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
So that's what I would choose, A and B.
Yeah, but I know I agree, but I'm thinking he's saying, well, you get to work with a legendary songwriter, but someone else would sing the songs.
Yeah.
So no,
Depends who was singing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Zachary Manzanetti. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Zachary.
Howdy from Sacramento, California. I am looking at a Minivent,
Nice.
and I'm wondering how you run it. Stereo post split, and if so, how, as it only has one input, or TPS wet dry pre-split, or TPS wet dry just into wet. Have you had any issues? I have, Zachary. So the Minivent is the Neo Instruments Minivent, absolutely fantastic sounding rotary speaker simulator. I had the Minivent 2, and I got it because we were in Copenhagen doing a Copenhagen guitar show, and Greg Koch was there.
Yeah.
And Dan and I were lucky enough to spend an evening with Greg, and it was magic.
Still recovering.
Anyway, he had this on his board. And I heard it and I was like, that is magic.
Yep.
So I bought one. I ran it. So all the questions you've asked are the right questions. And I tried all versions of all of the above and ran into all kinds of problems trying to split it. And for ages and ages and ages, I just ended up having it TPS wet dry down the wet side only in mono. And I got all kinds of phase reversal options. I got everything, and I just could not get it to sit right. I later find out it's not analog drive-through.
Yeah.
So it's digitally converting the whole signal, or at least this one is. I don't know if it's changed since then. So it's always out of phase with the dry side. So you've got two options. One is you can run it down both sides, so you'd have to run it pre-split.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is no, there is no other option. So,
or you can use that as a splitter at the end.
Yes, and you could use this as the split as long as you isolate one side.
Yeah.
So let's say you come out of your overdrive pedal, which would be mono, in, stereo out, and that'll do your split.
Yep.
And because it's split and going to both amps, then the latency is no longer a problem because you're going to have the same latency in both amps.
Yeah.
So that's one way you could do it. It's a shame because I really massively loved the sound of it, and then I think I've done something to break it because it no longer works at all. So I wonder if I've powered it up incorrectly.
Okay, well,
which is entirely possible. Now they also do small version, the micro. They do this in a 122 and the other option 16, the Fender version. And I don't know about the analog drive-through state of that either. Anyway, they sound great. We've used this quite a lot.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain.
Yep. Oliver Boyson says, in Copenhagen, did you go to the store called Effect Peddler? And they were there at the show.
They were at the show.
Yeah,
I've got a picture of Dan.
Actually,
I've got a picture of Dan on my phone underneath the sign.
I bought this from them at the show. There you go. Come on. There you go. That's what I bought from them.
Oh, that was at the Solar Fuzz or something.
Yes, the Solar Myth.
God, what year was that then? That must have been some time ago.
Yeah. Tell you what.
Oh, here's me and you and Japanese Danish Pete. We met Japanese Danish Pete when we went to see Boss.
This is a night in Tokyo, and yeah, he was singing at a karaoke venue.
It was his bar.
And that's his bar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it was Japanese Danish Pete.
Yeah.
So good.
Separated at birth. Yeah, yeah. Wow, that was a trip, wasn't it?
That was amazing.
You know that really annoying thing where you're trying to talk to someone and they're just scrolling through their phone?
No.
You know that? Ever experienced that?
No.
Yeah, well, that. Is that some Pete Thorne? God, nice. I'm trying to find the Effect Peddler. It'll be a terrible. Oh, look, nice 1960 Strat D&M drive. God, memories, Dan, memories.
Wonderful.
I can't find the picture I'm looking for, so I'll show you a picture of me and Danish Pete doing a gig. Seeing as we were just talking about, this is actual Danish Pete. Oh, nice. Almost looks photoshopped.
Oh, that's cool. We got some gigs of us in Italy with Danish Pete doing those gigs as well. That gig, I should say, that at the end of the weekend, that was so much fun. Right, how we doing?
Yeah, got loads to go. Yeah. Scott from Baltimore says, I just got the Harmonious Monk and part of what sold me was the all analog construction. First thing I did was open the back. It's full of parts.
Oh yeah.
It absolutely is.
It
and we
really
wouldn't have
is.
it any other way.
There's a great video of them building the process of them building it. It's amazing. They're so great.
Yeah.
Buzz Crumhunger says, so that would be Japanese Pete.
Yeah. Could be. So yeah, Zachary, in conclusion, you will have a problem if you only run it down one side. So
either pre-split or use it to split.
Now, all of that comes with a massive caveat of do read the manual, because I never did. There's loads and loads of options by holding things down and power up modes and all of that, which might mean that you can change some of what I've just said. I never got that far, unfortunately, so I just love the sound of it out of the box, and that's what I loved. I loved there was no knobs on it. You turned it on and it sounded amazing. Peter de Leon.
Bonjour.
Hello, Peter. He says, I'm just trying to decide between a 54 and 56 Les Paul, both Murphy Labs, which is basically the single piece wrap over versus the ABR and the stop tail.
Oh, okay.
I much prefer the sound of the wrap over, but I play an open C on Les Paul, so intonation would be near impossible. What are your thoughts? Joey told me 56. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with Joey.
If you've spoken to Joey about it, Joey Landreth, you will know that he has had no end of problems trying to find a single piece bridge that will intonate.
Yeah.
He's exactly the same as you, much prefers the sound of the single piece, but you just can't get it to intonate. And playing in tune is more important than a tone you really love at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Indeed.
Yeah, unless someone else is doing one, you know, things are coming along all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Yeah.
Let us know which one you get. Let us know next week.
Josh Bannister, Mick, do you offer guitar lessons? Bless you, mate. I'm the last person in the world you want guitar lessons from. I am having guitar lessons at the moment and struggling really badly. So, yeah, that's kind of you to ask. It might be a joke, but I'm reading it out anyway.
No, it's not a joke, and I would absolutely have guitar lessons off you.
No, I don't. I just don't know. I don't know how to.
No, but there's stuff that you do that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Come on,
I know how to sound good on the guitar, but
There
I don't know how to translate that to anybody else. I can't. I mean, honestly, the chords I'm having to learn at the moment, I just feel so stupid.
Oh, dude,
Because it's
man alive. You beat yourself up so much over that stuff.
no, I'm not.
It's
I'm
like-
not beating myself up. It's a fact. You know, you've been playing the guitar for 30 years and you don't know what a D major 7 is. That's pretty bad, isn't it?
But you know what a D major 7 is. You just don't play them a lot because they don't sound great.
Yeah. Yeah, the point is I now do know what a D major 7 is and I need to play it 20,000 times so I'm comfortable. And there's a fixed amount of days in between now and the gig.
Sure.
So I need to get the hours in so that it becomes comfortable. Anyway. Yeah, Peter, I would... clearly, if you can't tune the guitar with the single piece, there's no decision to be made.
Yeah. It's a real thing. If you've got a guitar that doesn't intonate properly and you're playing things that need to be intonated, as great as the guitar might sound, you will battle with that thing every single night. And
You just keep putting
honestly,
it down.
it's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Neville came round for a rehearsal the other day. Neville sold me that Murphy Gold Top. And he has bought a 56 Gold Top
Has he?
with P90s and the ABR and the...
Right.
Sounds killer.
I bet.
Fender Jeff.
Hello, Fender Jeff.
He says, amazing episode with Simon Jarrett from Kingsley Amplifiers. I now have a much better understanding on why I like certain amps more than others. Mystery solved. I'm so glad I got in on the Kingsley queue before the episode aired. I think he might have sold a juggler or two after that.
What a sound. What a sound.
Brilliant sound. Elliot Green. Hello, Elliot.
Hi, Elliot.
I'm sure I've said this before, but my friend Paul was in a band called Elliot Green, who was signed to...
The band called Elliot Green.
Yeah, what was Kurt Cobain, Nirvana's record label called? Sub Pop.
Okay.
Is it Sub Pop? I think they were signed to them. Anyway. I finally got around to booking my wedding, says Elliot Green. And due to timing, it looks like the experience day is going to be part of my stag do. What a way to celebrate. Cheers, guys.
That's hilarious.
Nice one, Elliot. Well, we shall have to raise a glass with you when you get here.
Indeed. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah. David Galzaniski. Or Galjinsky,
That's
maybe.
An excess song. Oh, Galzaniski. Anyway.
Question regarding the Matchless, says David. Is the FX loop really unusable?
Yep.
I've
Completely.
read that Strymon pedals work fine through it. Is
No.
this true?
No. You can use it if the gain is low enough.
Depends how much you crank it.
Exactly. If you've got the gain cranked, no, there's nothing that will go in that.
So when Matchless designed that loop, are they assuming you put some sort of attenuator in there then?
No, they just... I think they're assuming that you don't crank it. Because there's no way, unless you have like a little dumbulator thing in there. Here's the problem with that loop. It's not... if you think, okay, I'm going to get my gain sound from the Matchless, from the EF86 channel, and I'll stick my delay in the loop, and I'll have my delay done like that. Go back to what Simon was saying. It's the gain of the Matchless is not about the preamp gain. The gain is about how hard that preamp gain smacks into the phase inverter. So it doesn't matter that even if you had a pedal that could take all the gain from the Matchless, it's going to distort when it hits the phase inverter. So you're stuffed. You know what I mean? It's still, it doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
If you reduce the level, the gain coming from that, you are reducing the amount of signal that's hitting the phase inverter, and you're reducing that gain stage, and so you're not going to get that crunch.
Yeah.
That's it. It just doesn't. There's no way around it. It's like putting the same thing as trying to do it in my my Lazy J. It's how hard that phase inverter is being hit. That's what that crunch is coming from.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm just trying to think of a solution, but you've just been through it also. Josh Bannister again. All right then, Mick. If not you, then who? Any advice on finding an intermediate or advanced teacher? I actually gave Danish Pete a shout as well, but I haven't heard back. Yeah, if you're in the UK, I mean, there's loads of great guitar teachers out there. What I think is interesting about, you need a combination of someone that you can communicate with.
Yeah.
That's often the hardest thing. Who wants to communicate with you, and who is part teaching, part mentoring, because they've got to motivate you.
Yeah.
Or together your relationship has to be a motivational one. Otherwise you just won't do the work. I'm stuck in a hole at the moment where I'm really struggling to do the work. So yeah, there's so many people online. The other thing you could try is some online courses.
Yeah, they're really
TrueFire is amazing.
Yeah, really, really great.
Nothing really beats that one-on-one when you get something wrong or when you need to just be steered in the right direction. Nothing beats that. Somebody there to spot, understand, help you find the path to doing it correctly. That's one thing that one of those online courses is never going to give you.
Yep.
But honestly, the amount you can learn as a start point, they're so worth it.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, I don't know, certainly less than $50.
Yeah.
And you get like hours and hours and hours and hours of guitar tuition.
Yep.
So
I mean, I'm getting lessons. I've had a lesson with Tim Lurch, and I'm going to be having another one soon. And if like I'm really getting into my jazz harmony, and for that stuff, if you find a really great jazz teacher, is really great. And Mark Johns, my dear Australian friend, who's been my teacher for ages. But I had a one-off lesson with Mike Stern, a few months ago, which was, man, it was great. And those sorts of things are really inspiring. And sometimes those guys can just nudge you in a direction and just, open your eyes up to a certain thing.
yeah.
That's really great. However, if you can find a course that you're interested in, I think TrueFire is a really great one. Who was I listening to in the car today? Who's got an amazing TrueFire course? Plays on the Squier Telecaster.
Alan Hines.
His course on TrueFire
Yeah,
is
I've done that one.
astounding.
Well, I say I've done it. I've got it, and I watch it when I'm on holiday.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's so
really,
good.
Actually, because Alan Hines' type of level of guitar playing is way over my head, but the inspiration of what he talks about is also a great pathway to learning.
Yeah.
Helps you think about things in a different way.
Paul David's courses,
Yeah.
really great.
Amazing.
There's so
Depends what you want to learn.
Exactly. Just your job is to work out what you want to learn.
It's always a fight between, when you hear something awesome. So in our case, or in my case anyway, Simon Jarrett comes in, he plays all that really lovely, tasty stuff that is,
Dripped in harmony and
that beautiful point where blues is informed by really understanding. Well, I don't want to say jazz, because jazz is just music. It's
understanding harmony.
Yeah, it's music is what it is. And it's all music. It's not just jazz, but understanding harmony is all music.
Yep, exactly.
But where the brackets around things that we understand as traditional blues, i.e. predominantly minor and major pentatonic based, are then informed by more complex harmony in music. And Simon does all that stuff second to none. So one route is you could get Simon to show you some licks, or you could copy some of the licks, and I'm definitely guilty of that. But that's cool, and it might keep you happy for a minute. What you actually need to do is spend 10 years learning the music.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And no one wants to do that, do they?
Yeah.
Because it's homework. It's not fun.
So, Andy Timmons as an example. The guy has the deepest understanding of music, not guitar and not theory and not harmony, but music.
Yeah.
He lives, eats, breathes, sleeps music. It's all he's interested in. And
as inspired by a Beatles B-side as a Rachmaninoff.
Yeah. It's astonishing. And when you listen to him play, it's like, oh, that's why he can make you, feel things, because he has such a deep understanding of it. He hasn't heard a lick and he's gone, oh, that's a nice lick, and I'm going to try and get that lick in the solo tonight. He's like, no, there's a feel that this piece of music has, and I want to try and portray that. And I understand he understands what's going on. Like the lesson I had with Andy, his chord knowledge is as good as anyone I've ever met.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like, if he wanted to, he can go out and be an amazing jazz guitar player. But what he's done is he's absorbed that information, and he uses that information in harmony when he wants to say something like that. Yeah,
Good luck.
Amazing. Yeah, good luck, mate.
Good luck. Sunny Michigan checking in says Noah Bottimer. Golden shows lately. I especially love the more technical content like amp topology. Andy and Simon are legends.
Wonderful.
They are. Thank you, Noah. Zachary Manzanetti. He says, I'm writing again just to say thanks to everyone on the TPS team and suggest, since you're into vintage gear, maybe do a run of vintage TPS t-shirts. Specifically the blue tritone, which I really like. Yeah, nice.
Very good.
We did some with broken, distressed. What's the name? Maybe we could find some new old stock t-shirts from somewhere.
Very nice.
Actually, all joking aside, one of the issues with doing the broken print is it requires a certain type of ink, and we don't use those inks anymore. So we've committed to using t-shirt printers who use more environmentally friendly inks, because some of that stuff can be really nasty.
Yeah. So
to get the really, really good broken look, you need to use Plastisol ink, basically.
Right.
So we've stopped doing that. So anyway, by the by. Thanks for the suggestions.
Yeah,
Zachary.
mate. Thank you.
Albus Band.
Hey, buddy.
Aaron. The musical growth rate of this band cannot even be charted. They're treading water in a sea of sexuality and bad poetry.
That's just nitpicking, isn't it?
Great, well done, Dan.
They can't write that.
Yeah. So the question is cereal a soup? And what's your favourite?
Is cereal a soup?
It's a good question.
Oh, after about 15 minutes, it can be a soup.
It's like milk soup, isn't it? with bits in it. If you change the milk for broth and change
I
the
don't think you go to a
Cheerios for
restaurant
chicken.
and for starters they've got what's soup of the day, Special K. I don't think that will happen too much.
That is a mug cereal. No one should eat that stuff. It's like flipping cardboard with emulsifiers, isn't it?
Oh man, my
Hang on, I can hear a Scud missile coming in from Kellogg's.
son likes a cereal called Curiously Cinnamon, and it's little.
What's curious about
Exactly, it's so weird, but they're like little parcels of sugar, super addictive.
it? Yeah.
But that's called Curiously Cinnamon.
Right.
It's like, what a weird thing to call us.
It must be American, with no disrespect to our American friends.
Oliver Boyson says soup has to be hot.
Gazpacho.
Ah, there you go.
But maybe gazpacho isn't soup. Are we going to have that discussion?
Maybe.
It's really good gazpacho is flippin'-tastic.
Right.
You ever had it?
No.
It's really spectacularly good.
Okay. I'll try some in Italy when I'm there in a couple of weeks.
And you'll get some good... yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's Italian, isn't it?
Spanish.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I
okay.
would have thought so.
Right.
God. I'm going to have to apologise to everyone. Got to be Spanish. Yes, of course
Okay.
it's Spanish.
Right.
Now then, what were we talking about? Soup. Oh yeah, what is your favourite cereal?
My favourite cereal.
That was the question.
I rarely eat cereal, but if I do eat cereal, it's some sort of muesli, lots of stuff, lots of healthy, grainy, yummy stuff in there.
Yeah. So
But if I'm having an
Full
off day
grains.
and I just want a treat, it's honey nut cornflakes.
honey nut cornflakes. Yeah. Bite-sized shredded wheat mixed with a bit of Dorset cereals, really nutty muesli
Is this the most full on?
is my number one. Shreddies have just started to do a slightly more sugar conscious version, which is called the natural one.
Really?
And they haven't got quite as much sugar in, and they're really, really good. I don't know if it really caught on, but I'm a big fan
Ginger
of
Hung
those.
says it's the Gordon Ramsay show.
Yeah. And finally, in the same, I'll come right back at you, Aaron, and say, is cereal a soup? Is porridge cereal? Not really. It's cooked oats, isn't it? Yeah, you call it oatmeal in the US, I think.
Right.
But porridge is actually my favourite.
Okay. Yeah, porridge can be amazing. I just can't have dairy.
Oh, right. So you'd have to make it with some silly milk.
Silly porridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
How we doing? Cereal.
Can't beat a good old bowl of sugar puffs, but can't find them anymore, says Martin Scott. Oh, they called something different now.
Frosted Flakes with strawberry or blueberries. If we want to be healthy, Mr. Wit 30.
Yeah. Do you remember all the old Daddario ads on the back of guitar magazines where you'd have Paul Gilbert or someone eating little guitars in a cereal bowl?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Shreddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Tuka has given us a super chat, but there is no question. Sorry if we missed you.
Tom Robinson says, what was the best year for Shreddies?
Well, definitely 2021, I think, which is when they introduced the I think it's called the original one or the simple one.
Oh,
or
okay.
something.
All right, there you go.
But yeah, interesting enough, I was listening to a really great show on Radio 4 last week where they had a nutritionist on. So there's these two brothers who are doctors. One of them's addicted to ultra-processed food, UPFs.
Right.
And the other one's a healthy eater. And
Right.
they've gone through this series of where the UPF guy has basically given up UPF and has gone on to eating proper food.
Okay.
And his everything about his life has improved immeasurably.
Of course. Surprise, surprise.
But they had this nutritionist on. She is very serious. She was saying we'll talk about stuff like, Cocoa Pops and all those high sugar cereals, and particularly energy drinks she was talking about.
Okay.
It won't be long before we talk about those things in the same way we talk about smoking.
Right.
They are that harmful to health, in her opinion.
Well, you look at the sugar content in that stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah, but she's saying the food companies are so powerful and have so much influence at legislation level that trying to wean people off it is really tough.
Yep.
I love a bit of junk food, by the way. Just saying. Tim Good.
Hello, Tim.
Timmy Be Good is our last question today. He says, "Hi, Legends. My pedal board got wet during a recent outdoor gig and my favourite tape delay got fried."
Oh, no. Oh, buddy.
He says, "It's all good though, because my Strymon Volante just arrived in the mail today.
There you go.
Do you have any outdoor gig gear disasters you can remember?" I had to use a Line 6 Axis once at an outdoor gig. That was a disaster.
No. I do know that so Biffy Clyro have done a bunch of outdoor gigs lately, and Richard has designed a special shower curtain that sort of goes over all the stuff.
That's just for Simon Sweat, probably, isn't it?
Oh man, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. His sweat can eat through a PCB, not just the tracks, but an actual PCB. He can just eat through it. It's. I think it needs to be studied, and find out what's in it. Yeah, but not personally. I've had. One of the things is heat. And I've done a few outdoor gigs in Australia, and just
your fuzz goes spatial.
Yep, and nothing that you do will stay in tune.
Yeah.
And that's awful. Yeah, but no disasters.
Yeah, nor me. I don't think. I haven't done that many outdoor gigs really.
Yeah.
But heat is definitely
Heat's the thing.
Heat is the one.
Yeah.
Christopher Clement says, as a US expat now living in New Zealand, I was confused about Cheerios being a sausage here.
Very good.
Cheerios are obviously sausages.
Very good.
In New Zealand. Yeah, there we are.
Fabulate.
Indeed.
Yep. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. That was brilliant. It got a bit weird there, but we got there in the end.
Mikey Newman says, "I fell off the back of a stage once. Strong winds."
No way.
Oh, I got blown off stage. Tosi Ma really wants to know if we'd have a Floyd Rose or a Schaller Lockmeister. I can't play either, unfortunately. I can't play floating bridges.
I want to make a green meanie with whatever was on it.
Tune.
I think the Floyd Roses have a sound.
Or indeed don't have a sound.
There you go. Yeah. My thing with those, with actually tremolos in general, because I remember when I had, the story goes, I had a 1964 Strat that was stolen. And I had a gig that night, and the only guitar I could get hold of was my friend's Telecaster, which is why I ended up playing Telecasters. And I remember, because I've been playing Strats, like up to that point for, years and years and years. And I wanted to do this gig with a Telecaster, and I realised I had no vibrato. And I was like, oh, this is a real problem, because I was like on the wanger the whole time.
If it's there, Dan's going to use it.
Yep, absolutely. And I had none of that. And I thought, okay, the Telecaster is such an honest guitar. There's no bells and whistles. I thought, if I can't make a Telecaster sound good, I've got no right to play guitar. So I've been playing Telecasters ever since.
Yeah. Riniones says, Floyd sound great. Yeah, they do. Of course they do.
Yeah.
In the right hands on the right guitar. Sound of Ages, isn't it? Interestingly, I think Ed's was on his guitar, wasn't it?
Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my problem when they float. It removes a great deal of resonance that I'm expecting from the guitar. Plus, I physically cannot keep it in tune, but millions of people can and do so brilliantly well and sound awesome. So,
Yep, indeed.
yeah. Yup. Crazy Guy says, can you show me the tone stack bypass on that Two-Rock? It's there on the front panel. It does what we were talking about with Simon in the show on Friday, and it's extremely effective. You'll hear
Really
it
effective.
in some videos upcoming,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I've got the balls to play it down. I just don't know if I have.
Oh, come on. That amp is made for you.
It is such, if you'll forgive a sexist comment, that is a flipping man's amp. That is.
It's a large,
Or at least it
behemoth.
is let's take the gender out of it. It is someone with giant testicles. It's someone who is unafraid of engaging with their guitar amplifier regardless of gender or testicles.
Very good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave it.
I do. I agree. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic week. This Friday's show will be looking at some of the tones that we used with the Andy Timmins gigs.
It will either be that or it will be the other one we did, which was not that one. It was EV speakers.
Oh, yes.
We filmed 2 shows last week.
Oh,
One is,
yes. That was awesome.
is everything better through EV speakers? ? And then the other one we did was what Dan just said. So it'll be either one of those, whichever we get edited first. Because much as we like living month to month on our paychecks, so do we like living week to week with our video editing. Quick, let's go buy some guitars. Right. See you soon, everyone. Play
Bye.
Bye.